Welcome to our first live stream of the year 2022. I took out a couple of weeks just to kind of wrap up the end of the year with some other projects and stuff. So I'm really glad to be back doing this live stream with everyone. Thanks for everyone joining us in our guest stream today over in LinkedIn. I hope you're able to get some great stuff out of here with our guest speaker. And so I'm really excited to introduce our guest today. I say this every time because I'm always excited about all our guests, and I'm really happy to have this. I consider her a friend and a mentor and someone I really look up to in so many parts of life here. And I'm going to be introducing Tisha Pelletier, who is an author, a speaker, international speaker, is a mentor for many business owners. I met her myself through a networking group that she created called the Mom E Club, which was for mom entrepreneurs. And we just really connected. And I've always been so in awe of her positive attitude and way that she champions everyone around her and helps them bring out the best of themselves. So I'm looking forward to our conversation today. We're going to be talking about what is your word for 2022. And if you don't know what we're talking about, hope you really stick around to hear about it a little bit more, because I feel like it's such a very important tool and an opportunity for us to keep living our best life, which we were talking about earlier. So without further ado, let's say hi to Tisha. Hi, Tisha.
Hi. Hello, everybody. Good to be here. Michelle, I just have to say I love the music. I love the music that you're playing. I was like jamming out.
I know. I always end up doing that too. I know. I try to pick something a little peppy so I get like all ready. We're gonna go.
I know. It's so fun. You're like, all right, I need my intro music.
Yeah,
I need my intro music.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for that amazing introduction. I mean, Mommy Club was such a big part of my life when I had my kids still very small, and I still miss a lot of those moments that I had with you ladies. Oh,
yeah,
memories.
I know. I was just thinking about it too. So I think because our little one, our youngers are 10, right? I think, right?
Yep.
Ellie's been 10 too.
Ellie and Elliot.
Yeah, Ellie and Elliot. And so I remember Elliot toddling over to the little newspaper rack and pulled the newspaper out. And I'm like, well, just read it. And then I saw the thing about Mommy Club, and so I always credit him with introducing us together. And I just had a lot of fun with that. And so for those watching here, especially our students, because like I did say, this is a lot of geared towards getting information to our students, but of course we're spreading out to the greater massage community, and then of course the social media community as a whole, is that normally we have guests on that are somewhat related to the massage field, like authors or teachers or some product that's massage related for our students. And I just felt like I needed somebody that was in a different environment that could inspire our students, that didn't need to be massage related. So I immediately thought of you because of all the work that you do to get that positive energy out there and get people excited about living their best life, and particularly in business, which we'll talk a little bit about more later. So for those who don't know, can you talk a little bit about yourself and like what you do and how you kind of got to that place, and then we'll get into our word challenge talk.
Sure. So a little bit of a shameless plug. Well, like Michelle mentioned, I was running the Mommy Club, and that was a huge relief for me, because being a mom with 2 young children and running 3 businesses simultaneously, it was a little bit much. So having that outlet and being able to be a leader, being able to be surrounded by other moms was so key at that moment in my life. So I've been an entrepreneur, Michelle. I'm sure I've shared this story with you, and it's written in my books too. But I've been an entrepreneur since 2004, and I've run now on my fifth business. That's it. I'm not going to a 6th. But I've had to learn a lot. Like, there was so much professional development and personal development through all of those years. There was becoming a mom. It was people pleasing, putting everybody else first. And so, I've had a lot of different roles. I've had the marketing company. I ran an event management company. I was a leader of this mom entrepreneur community that I created. And then I really found myself in kind of a crossroads back in 2015. I was like, I know I've achieved a lot in my life, but I somehow don't feel like I'm supposed to be where I'm supposed to be I think
Mhm.
we get into that moment where like, is this
Yeah.
really what my life is? And do I want this kind of life? And I will say this, being very honest, like I was just talking to Lee Evans. He was my live stream guest just earlier, and we're talking about living your best life. And
Mhm.
I think back to the shirt I have that says living my best life. And it's like, are you really living your best life? Or are you
Mhm.
just sporting the t-shirt because it
Yeah.
looks super cool?
Yeah.
And I have to say that I probably was that person that was lying a little bit. Like, I'm like, I'm just
Mhm.
wearing the t-shirt, but am I
Yeah.
really living my best life? And I can honestly say I wasn't.
Mhm.
I was stressed. I wasn't pouring into my family. I
Yeah.
wasn't pouring into my health. I wasn't making myself happy. I was really doing everything for everybody else.
Mhm.
And I remember this had to have been back in like 2017, 2018. And so I call it like I had my midlife crisis back in 2015. So having these three businesses, Michelle, and then realizing that I'm like, something has to give. And I just found myself, in I always like to call it this because it's just fun, but Netflix binge and bonbon days. Like I'm just like, I don't know where I'm going. I don't know what I'm doing, but
Yeah.
Netflix sounds pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah.
and and just, being in my woe is me state for a little bit. And then
Mhm.
finally saying, I really need to get some help. Like I really need to get some help. And Bruce Carnahan, thank you so much. Good friend of mine. But really just going, I need some support and some help, and hiring a business coach. And she really is what encouraged me to do what I do now. And she
Mhm.
encouraged me at that time of my time of no idea what I'm doing, no idea what my next step is, to really build my personal brand. And I don't know if you remember, Michelle, but I was like, no, I
Yeah.
don't want to. Like, I
Yeah.
really don't want to. Like,
Yeah.
I literally was dragging my feet, kicking and screaming. But I can say to everybody who's listening, massage school, non massage school, whatever it is, that really building your personal brand is essential, especially now, because it really is the only way that you will stand out in any crowd. Whether
Mhm.
you're an employee, whether you're going to
Yeah.
work to the workforce, whether you want to be on your own and be your own business owner, it really is the only way that people are going to gravitate to you, and you're going to attract
Mhm.
the right people that you really want to work with.
Yeah.
And I really got behind her idea because one thing that it allowed me to do was to really pivot under my own personal brand and buy myself time.
Mm.
We always want to buy ourselves time because we're like, I don't have the answers
Yeah.
yet. I
Yeah.
know I will get there in time, but I don't have it yet. And so
Mhm.
that was a really great way for me to start focusing on being selfish, being like, who am I?
Mhm.
What do I get excited about? What brings me joy? What brings me happiness?
Right.
And really moving in that direction. So, 2017, I started going into that word of the year. I had never done it before,
Mhm.
but I really chose the word selfish.
Mhm.
And for a
Yeah.
very, very good reason of I need to
Mhm.
be selfish. I need to not put everybody ahead of me. I need to just finally figure out what makes me happy and what do I need to do to create joy and happiness in my life, and not neglect areas in my life that I really know I need to be working on.
Yeah, I love that, and I love bringing up that word selfish, and and seeing some of your posts, I think on Instagram, I had seen you talk about it, like selfish seems like such a negative term, and it
Yeah.
kind of reminds me of one of my other favorite words that I like that people often think of as negative is judgment.
Yeah.
And both of them, I feel, when you use them correctly, they are helping you make the decisions to be able to be better and make better choices.
Right.
Because I have two choices. I'm going to make a judgment call on which one I'm going to go for.
Hmm.
And if I'm being selfish about it, I'm going to make the one that's going to be better for me and the
Hmm.
greater good of everything. So I love
Right.
that. So,
Right.
did you find yourself having moments where during that year, of course, you're going to be perfect, right? And everything's going to be selfish and you're going to succeed in everything, right? But probably
Always.
not, right? Um, can you remember any moments where you're like, maybe, I have to negotiate this a little bit more or talk to somebody in my life to be like, this is what I need to do for me right now for the greater good of everything? Were there some challenges along the way?
No, I think that the one beautiful thing about creating a word or picking a word of the year is it really does keep you ultra focused.
Hmm.
It's like becomes your guiding light, so to speak.
Yeah.
And For me, when I went down that path of working with a coach, of course, she's like, I want you to take a personality assessment for me,
Mhm.
and I love doing that. Like, I want to see, and
Yeah.
you evolve so much. So you could take an assessment today and you could take it 10 years from now and you're a totally different person.
Right.
You should always be growing. And
Mhm.
when I took this, I can't really remember a couple of the very positive things it said. It did say I'm a good leader, so that's good.
Mhm.
But I remember things glaring at me, and it was more around that I was a very big people pleaser
Mhm.
and that I really truly cared about what other people thought about me. And I can be very candidly say, yes, I did. And I was
Mhm.
definitely about putting other people first before my
Yeah.
family, before myself.
Yeah.
And so that was a big reminder and a big eye opener of you can't do that anymore, Tish. Like, those are the things that you don't like about yourself. Those are the things that you really need to work on and things that you need to
Mhm.
change. And
Yeah.
so it got so much easier for me, Michelle, saying no. And
Mhm.
in a way, designing the life that I really want, creating the life that I really want for myself, and not being like, oh, I wonder what Michelle would think about this. I mean,
Right.
you were there in the mommy club. You were there. I remember the
Mhm.
last party that I held that I said, ladies, I'm going in a different direction.
Mhm.
And I started in another direction. I created
Yeah.
Gals Inspiration Hub, and then I ended up going in another direction. And I felt that I gave myself that permission and that grace to say, you did it, you tried
Mhm.
it didn't work, or it did work, and now you've moved
Yeah.
on because you've evolved, and it's
Right.
okay. Like,
Yeah.
things happen. Just
Yeah.
because you've changed your mind doesn't mean that you're a bad person. It just
Mhm.
means that you decided to put you first and figure out what makes you happy.
Right. Yeah, which is really, really important. And going back to the people pleasing part, I think, I think we all hear that a lot. Women are always trying to be people pleasers, in particular. I mean, but I think people in general, we're trying to not ruffle feathers and we're trying to make things work well for everybody.
Home.
And that selfish, yeah, the selfish part gets in the way of that sometimes, right? We can't make those choices. And thinking of and you had said to building your brand, putting it kind of all together for like our students and going out there into the world and figuring out where they need to be is sometimes it's like I'll take any client anytime. Like I'll work on whatever days needs to. When somebody needs me, I'm going to be there, and I'll like bend on my rates, and I'll just take any type of client.
Yeah.
And they're like, why aren't I building my business? Why is this not working for me? Why aren't I am I not seeing the bank account getting better? Why am I struggling
Right.
still? And
Right.
the second you turn around to say, okay, wait a second, who's my ideal client? Who do I really
Mm-hmm.
want to work on? What kind of work do I
Mm-hmm.
want to do? What boundaries do I need to set up for myself so that I have specific hours that I'm working, and or I'm doing the work that's important to me and not trying to hurt myself because somebody keeps saying go deeper, because that's what they think they need.
Uh-huh.
And all of it has to kind of come back to being selfish about it and setting up those boundaries. So it's a really great reminder for it. And it's
Mm-hmm.
scary sometimes, right? It is, like you had mentioned, you're like didn't want to do certain things, but sometimes that's what the scary part is, what you need to do. Because
Mm-hmm.
then the doors open and you start getting into what your this year's word is your
Yes, my word is abundance.
abundance. I
It's
love that.
abundance.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
But so we'll talk a little bit about the process of building the word and everything. But I know for me, like you're saying about um, learning and growing and changing and everything, it takes a while to kind of learn from what did or didn't work and make the
Mm-hmm.
changes and move from there and be okay with it may not work exactly, but at least you have movement. And I
Right.
think that's really important for people as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's keep moving and trying to build that life. I think that's really great message.
Yeah, I mean, you hit it on the head right there with just movement and progress is
Hmm.
huge. And I mean, we talk about failure, and I think everybody can talk about, oh, I hate failing. But I'm like, I don't really care about failing because at
Yeah.
least I know I tried. At least I
Yeah.
know I made progress and I figured
Hmm.
out what I liked and didn't like.
Yeah.
And for me, like, I've shared this time and time again, but there's a great Pinterest quote that says, I'm not afraid of failing. I'm afraid of being stuck in the same place next year. If
Mm.
you were stuck in the same place next year, you had no growth. And that is the sad truth. If
Yeah.
you're stuck in the exact same place, nothing has moved in your life. It's because you didn't put the effort in to move the needle.
Mhm.
And so
Yeah.
I would much rather say, yep, I'm getting there slowly,
Yeah.
surely it's
Yeah.
happening. But for me to
Right.
say nothing has happened in 1 year's time,
Mm-hmm.
something is wrong. Something's very
Yeah.
wrong.
Yeah. And so what you had mentioned taking that personality test and getting some more like deeper connection into things you think needed work.
Mhm.
Do you think like even if somebody tried to figure out what was wrong with them per se, like it's still hard for them to make those changes because or to even accept like this is what's wrong or what I need to change because it's hard to make those changes? Do you see resistance with that?
I do a little bit. Like even in personal branding, I always have people take some different assessments for me, and I love
Hmm.
sharing one of the resources because it's free, it's online, but it's called 16personalities.com.
Okay.
Just, 16 written, the number 16. And it really does. I mean, it's like a 5-minute questionnaire, but it really does dive into very similar to like Myers Briggs, but it dives into your relationships, your work, you personally. Like it really does bring up some of those things
Mm-hmm.
that you're deficient in or you need to work on. Like I remember talking to a client and I was reading his profile, his personality test, and I said, it says here you're the life of the party. He's like, yep, I am. I'm totally outgoing, totally bubbly. And I'm like, but it also says that you really don't deal well with confrontation. When you get into a situation, you really don't know how to handle it or confront someone
Yeah.
if you've been wronged or you feel that something's wrong. And he's like, yeah, that's it. Like, and he
Yeah.
didn't. And
Yeah.
and as business owners, as entrepreneurs, as anybody,
Hmm.
confrontation's going to come up.
Yeah.
And so if it's telling you you really need to work on that now, I feel like it's at least pointing the light and saying, hey, you know what? This is something that you might want to work on. Maybe this is something you role play with someone on. Maybe
Yeah.
this is something you read more books on, or you do a little bit more research on of how to become better at that. You
Hmm.
know, I
Yeah.
mean, Michelle, when I was building my personal brand, again, kicking and screaming, I didn't like social media. I hated
Uh,
it. I truly, truly, truly
yeah.
hated it. And I don't know if I ever told you that, but I used to outsource all of my social media and I didn't get any traction. Nobody came to me. Nobody was like, hey, I like you. Let's work together.
Yeah.
Nobody.
Uh-huh.
And I had to take it back. I had to, here I am paying all this money to have other people do my social media and it's producing zero results. And so I took it back and I said, well, I hate it, but I'm going to learn to like it at least
Mhm.
because
Mhm.
I know the outcome is that I get to meet some incredible people through my words and my actions and my pictures and things like that, my
Yeah.
videos. And that's happened. And so now
Mhm.
I'm more embracing of it, but
Yeah.
I had to learn to get past my fear and this
Right.
idea that I didn't like it.
Yeah. Yeah. Before I forget, is this the correct website? 16 personality?
Oh no, it's 16, like the number 16,
Oh,
and then
1 and 6, 1
yeah,
6.
and then
Okay.
personalities is plural,
Okay.
personalities.com.
Okay. Let me get it again because I know we mentioned it real quick and I want to make sure people let's see. All right.
That is, yep,
Okay,
that's
all
it.
right.
Yeah, thanks for
So if
sharing
somebody
it.
wants to go in for some of that personality assessments, that sounds like a great resource there.
Right.
And so, and then going back to what you're just saying about not liking social media and jumping on it, I don't think anyone would ever call you out on that because you really show a different side. And perhaps now you're at the point where you like it and agree with it, but you're actually one of my inspirations for just getting on the live stream and just do it because yeah, you're gonna have to do, yeah, you just who cares?
Who
And who cares
cares?
if your hair's whatever or you have the right words to say or anything like that. You got to get out there and start talking and connecting with people. And so which you do so much of in your and all your live streams and your convos in your Camry and your everything else that you've had along the way. So I just wanted to real quick, Pop, because Bruce has been so great sharing the
Yeah.
comments and stuff. I wanted to say he's talking about having a coach for sure can reduce the amount of time it takes
Mhm.
you to get to their place that you want to get to. So Tisha Pelletier recently helped me in all the steps in the refinement of my branding and approach and communications. Yeah,
Mhm.
it's so great. Great point, Bruce, that sometimes having not sometimes, a lot of times, having someone to help clarify things for you and make sense of it all is great to help you in that direction because you're not quite sure, okay, I have this info, now what? What do I do with it? And so
Mhm.
what, right? Sometimes you're not quite sure what that is.
Right.
Um, Yeah, and and a shout out to my friend Patrick here who had
Yeah.
used that 16 personalities too.
Yeah.
So thanks for watching, Patrick, and sharing that it's been helpful. So we can definitely work with that. Um, we mentioned the word of the year a little bit, and you had mentioned this year is your abundance. But for anyone watching that doesn't have a clue what the heck a word of the year is and why do people do it, could you explain a little bit the reasons behind it, or like what's the importance behind it?
Yeah, I feel that again, it's being about being very intentional. You know,
Mhm.
you're picking a word based on intention. And as I shared earlier, having a word allows me and others to be very focused on
Yeah.
what is that word of the year, like what is your guiding principle,
Mm.
so to speak. And it can
Yeah.
be any word. In fact, I know when Michelle, when you posted this, I had other people already commenting on what their word was. I know my good friend Giselle said her word was possible, possible.
Mm.
And Jana, actually, she's out in Spain. She said, "I don't really have a word. I have an object." So there's no
Oh,
right or wrong. It's whatever
yeah.
you want to use. But she put a picture up. If you go back and see it, Michelle, but she put a picture up of her object, and it was a bouncy crocheted globe. And
Okay.
she liked it because it signified bouncy, playful, joyful, world traveler. And I know that about her. I know that she's always on the
Mhm.
go. I know that she's always on the move. And again, it's about
Yeah.
setting the intention early in the year of, I want more of this in my life. I want more
Mhm.
of this. And so I know 2018 was a really hard year for me too. I had to make a lot of big decisions. I was not in the right place that I wanted to
Mhm.
be. It was just kind of, trying to figure things out still.
Yeah.
And I used the word courage. And in fact, I feel like my best friend gave me the word because she
Mhm.
bought me a really nice bracelet and on it
Mhm.
it said courage. And I said, you know what? Thank you, because this is the word of my
Mhm.
year. This word, courage. And it
Yeah.
helped me. It helped me, leave my job. I had a part time job because I was trying
Mhm.
to figure out my next step.
Yeah.
And it helped me to really believe in myself more and to
Mhm.
put myself out there more. And when I did that, I started getting booked for professional speaking and, all these things that I was like, I
Yeah.
needed the courage to do this. And it was a constant reminder because it was on my bracelet,
Nice.
and so I'm going to encourage people choose one. I know Lisa just chimed in. She said, my word is bloom.
Yeah.
And
I
she
love
chose,
that, and she has her
a
little
daffodil.
daffodil. That's so smart. I love that's
Yeah, she
very
chose a
sweet.
daffodil. So what does that word signify? What's the significance behind it? For
Yeah.
me, abundance, I love that word. And I don't know, Michelle, I know you watched the video, but I kid you not, I'm at Kirkland home with Ellie and I was like, I need a
Mhm.
new sign. I want a new
Yeah.
picture to go above our bed because I have these like cherub angels and they scare
Mhm.
me. Just their big eyes. And I was
Yeah, I
like,
can
I've
see
had this. I don't think it suits me. I want to take it down. I
right.
know this is what I want going
Mhm.
into the new year is just a new picture. And I just was like, okay, show me the sign.
Yeah.
And Ellie and I go, and I was like, oh, you've got to be kidding me. Like,
Yeah.
it's this sign that says, together we have it all. And it's written in some cool font. And it's very just,
Mhm.
simple, chic kind of stuff. And
Yeah.
and then it was on clearance. So I was like,
Even better.
oh, so I grabbed it and I was like, took that sign down, took the picture
Yeah.
down, put that up. And I love it every morning, every night I see it. It's a great reminder of abundance, of
Mhm.
living in gratitude and just
Mhm.
saying, you know what? I have it all. I
Yeah.
know what I have. I know
Yeah.
what I'm capable of. I know that everything is coming to me that
Right.
I'm desiring. And just starting off with that grateful heart is such an
Yeah.
important part of my day of, you know what? I may not be there, but I'm gonna get there. I'm getting
Mhm.
there.
Yeah. And you're in the good place where you are right now. Always feel like we forget about the present. Like we're in a good place. We're with the tools that we have
Yeah.
at the moment that are serving us at the moment. And it's okay if we can still build on that. But there's nothing wrong with being grateful for where we are right at this minute.
Right.
I think we sometimes forget about it. We're in past and future all the time, and sometimes it might not feel like it, but you're where you're supposed to be right now,
Oh,
with a projection, hopefully, right? A
yeah.
trajectory of somewhere. So we're going somewhere.
Yes.
So yeah.
Yes. I have my trajectory. I'm going to share it with all of
Yeah.
you that are watching and Michelle. So
Yeah.
My husband, Sean, retires in 5 years from the city of
Wow.
Mesa. So he'll be
Nice.
49 and I'll be the ripe age of
You'll be
47.
something. Okay.
No, 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 no.
It's just a number. Whatever.
No, I'm actually very proud of my age. So
Yeah.
47.
Yeah.
And I just put it in my life that I'm like, I want to like move to Costa Rica and serve chips and salsa and just smile
Yeah.
at people and just like greet them. Like that's my
Yeah.
big ambition.
Yeah.
And people
That's
are like, what about everything that you do? I'm like, doesn't mean I haven't accomplished it. It's just I'm
yeah.
going to be in a different season in my life.
Right. Right. Yeah. That's important. It doesn't have to hold on forever. That's yeah. Things
Is
are ebb and flow as it is.
Isn't that
Yeah.
the beauty of it? The beauty
Yeah.
of your life is that you get to decide how to design it and
Mhm.
what you want to do.
Mhm.
And if you want to quit
Mhm.
your job and do something
Yeah.
else, and
Yeah.
within reason, I always like to caution people that you still have to make sure your living expenses are paid.
Right.
But at the same
It's
time, I was
important.
like, okay, hold up, hold up.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Saying that if you have the means, why would you stay stuck miserable?
Mhm. Yeah.
Ah, no good.
Exactly. Yeah. Or figure out a different solution with the means you have or
There you
something that's
go.
attainable too. Because yeah, I love that. You're not asking for a huge mansion house or anything. Like little chips and salsa hut. We're good.
Come down to Costa Rica. I'll serve you
Yeah,
some.
yeah, yeah. I got the abundance of chips and salsa all over the place. I love it.
Well,
That's my family is Costa Rican, so there's
oh,
a special place in my heart for Costa Rica
oh, fun.
connection
We're
for sure.
we're gonna go this summer. But here's kind of a fun story. So the
Mhm.
latest client that I'm working with, he makes salsa. And he's bringing
Oh,
chips and salsa to my event. I was like, can
oh,
I just take your job? I just do this job.
yeah, yeah. You do connect. So something about Tisha, her bubbly personality not only just attracts people to have conversations, but you seem to attract people who give you things that are fun to be around. I'm recalling some samples of bourbon. I think we got one point, and yeah, some just great connections with people. Oh, I still look back at all our flowers centerpieces we got for that fundraiser we got to go to, and just so much fun we had there. And it's all surrounding you, and so many great things that seem to be circling the Tisha Marie Pelletier world. So
It's very true, Michelle. Like I just had the most random gifts like show up in the mail, and Bruce is such a great example of that. Like he's always sending me gifts, and I helped him move here to Arizona and got him his first rental. And but I remember a friend of mine in Texas. Like we've never met. We just had
Mhm.
conversations on the phone and such. But he sent me a book with money in it.
Hey.
And I'm like, what is this? He's like, my gift to you. Like, he's like, you're a
Wow.
gift to me. And I just wanted to give this
Yeah.
back to you. And
Yeah.
just people amaze me. Like, people
Mhm.
are incredible.
Yeah. It's nice to be surrounded by good people for sure.
Oh,
I love it.
always.
Yeah.
Always.
So, what advice would you have for someone who's like, I want a word, I want a direction, I don't know how I find a word. What am I supposed to look for? How do I know it's my word? What do I do?
Hmm.
Okay.
I would say, and I have an exercise and I'm happy to share with people, but I really like looking at like core values. Like, what are
Mhm.
some of your core values?
Mhm.
Even doing some exercises of like, what makes me happy right now in the season that I'm in? Like, what brings me joy?
Mhm.
And, or maybe even looking at what you're struggling with, really
Mhm.
take a very big deep dive into your life right now
Yeah.
of a word that can truly help you be the best you in
Mhm.
2022. I love that. Be the best you in 2022. It's so like
Nice.
catchy.
Yeah. I love rhymes. I love alliteration, all
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. So fun. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
That's really great. I had it wasn't last year, it was the year before. I all of a sudden kept seeing the word hydrate looking all around the place.
Yeah,
Like
you were
it was
sharing.
yeah, it was really funny. And I'm like, I don't know why I kept catching my eye. It's like not a very significant word. And I'm like, okay, the fourth time in a week that I'm seeing this on a big billboard or like somebody's water bottle where it says it like hugely. And like it I might have not have noticed it any other time, but for some reason that week I kept seeing it and seeing it. And I said, what is it trying to tell me, if anything? And
Hmm.
I just like I do what I do. I Google a word if I'm thinking of something. Like maybe it'll take me down a rabbit hole of something, and I'm looking at the word, like root word and meanings and all this stuff. And I'm like, hydrate. One of the things I love water, like with being near the water, it's always
Hmm.
soothing. I don't have to be in it, but I like to be near it.
Yeah.
Um, and I love drinking water. I love like it's so important to me. I know how important it is for the body. And then I started thinking about how water flows, and I'm like, you know what? I could use a little more help with the flowy department because
Yeah.
sometimes I'm a little stuck in that dam and I need to kind of come up and go. And I started kind of running with that and saying, okay, hydrate doesn't actually necessarily mean to drink water.
Mhm.
There's so many ways to interpret it. And so that was a really big lesson for me to pick that word because it might not look to everybody else what I'm interpreting it to me, but I could apply it to so many parts of my life. Like, yes, I
Oh.
need to hydrate my body. It's important for me to do that because I feel better when I'm hydrated, but I
Mhm.
also need to go with the flow with things. I need to expand. I feel like water expands and hydrates and comes out. Like if I'm visioning like streams and that kind of stuff. And it just connected to me. And I just felt that year, I felt I really had a turning point for myself to be like going with the flow and, you know, making a decision about how I would react to things around me. Because,
Right.
you don't always have control over that. But you do have control of how you respond to your surroundings. And so that
Always.
word really hit home for me the whole time. I just kept reflecting back to it. Um, so this year for my word, I kept seeing the word, thinking about feeling weak, like a weak in
Mhm.
my head. I kept thinking weak, weak, weak. And I'm like, okay, that's a terrible word to keep thinking about. So what's the
Mhm.
opposite?
Mhm.
And so mine came out to be strength. And I was like, okay, strong means, again, many things in many situations, and there's
Mhm.
different types of strength. And just that week, I saw like a Facebook post or an article or something, and it was like one of those fitness magazine type articles. And it's like, here's all the type of strengths that you should be working on in your workout routines. And I'm
Mhm.
like, okay, let me open that up. And there was like, agile strength, endurance strength, like power strength. They had all the different types, and I could connect it to so many parts of my life. Like, do I need to just get through this day and do this?
Mhm.
Do I need a burst of energy to get something done or feel better? And then, have like it's all different ways to interpret it. So
Yeah, of
that's my
course.
word this year. And for me, I'm writing it down in places. I have my passion planner I always have, so I'm always writing it down in there. I know you have your picture now, but
Mhm.
what are some other ways that people have you noticed like get that reminder? You had the bracelet before with your courage.
Mhm.
How can we continuously remind ourselves what our word is and put it in front of ourselves?
Even like ladies grabbing your lipstick, writing it on your mirror. It's the first thing you see in the mornings. Like it's a great reminder. Mine is I'm staring at it right now. Like I have uh, I just got a massive card stock and I wrote down all of my goals and right in the middle it says 2022 word of my year is abundance and it's written in big capital letters and underlined and color
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
so anytime you can remind yourself or even as like I said as you wake up in the morning like I
Mm-hmm.
am strong, I am abundant, like I am light
Mm-hmm.
or I
Yeah.
am like all of these things is just constantly reminding. And then I really am big into sharing my word. It's why every beginning of the year I'm always like, hey, what's your word of the year? I've done that a couple years now where I
Mm-hmm.
really come out and share it so others know, so it's a great reminder
Yeah.
and you put it out into the world. Like
Right.
I believe, and I know you do too, Michelle, but I really do believe you manifest things. Like you put it out in the
Mm-hmm.
world, others see it, it's out there. Now that's
Yeah.
coming right back to you,
Right.
in various ways. So I'm not saying now go get a tattoo on your back every year. You put your word on your back or on
We
your
can't really see
face.
it very well there anyway, so maybe forehead or
I know, right? Abundant, abundant. But I'm not saying like go crazy nuts, like go do that. But I'm saying put it
Mhm.
in places, like put it on your phone, grab a great
Mhm.
screenshot of that
Yeah,
word and put it on your phone. So every time you open it and lock it, it's staring at you.
right.
Like almost like your little mini vision board.
Mhm. Yeah,
Mhm. Mhm.
absolutely, I love that. Um, do you think there's, exercises or check-ins or things that people should maybe try to plan for if they've never used this idea before? Or simply just seeing the word you think will may be very significant for them?
I always find that if you're in a community, that should be in your community. If that's one of your exercises at the very beginning of the year of sharing it with friends, like I
Mhm.
always believed in accountability.
Yeah.
And so for people at your school, for instance, maybe that's something of how did you live an abundant week? Let us know. How are
Yeah.
you becoming stronger in your week? Like, it should be a check-in because it's at the forefront of our mind, and
Mhm.
that we keep exercising and practicing that.
Yeah.
It can't just be, oh, I want to be courageous. I'm not really courageous this year or
Right.
this week.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And making kind of steps with it. Do you do a lot of writing exercises for yourself, like kind of journaling or planning out how you plan to do get more abundance this week or anything like that? Does that help you?
Yeah, I do. Well, like I mentioned, I've really broken down my goals, intentions,
Mhm.
spiritual growth and personal goals and things. And so I do. And I do like reflecting. I feel that
Mhm.
every week, like I really liked what Lee said. If you get the chance to watch our live stream we just did today,
Mhm.
he talked about pillars of your life and how we can't just be high achieving in one area of our life. Like he's
Right.
like, you can't just be high achieving in work because the rest of your foundation and your infrastructure will start to fall and
Yeah.
fail.
Yeah.
You know, so he's like, you have to have closure in your life. So let's say it's 5 o'clock. Okay, shut down complete. Now I'm going to be the best mom I can be. Now I'm
Mhm.
going to be the best wife I can be. Now I'm going to be the best me I can be, which means I'm adding
Mhm.
some self care back in. He's like,
Right.
you really cannot combine. It's why I say multitasking is quite
Yeah.
impossible
It doesn't work.
because you're not present in the moment that you're in and you're missing
Mhm.
it. You're missing it. And that's why you feel like you're failing or you're stuck because
Mhm.
you're not present.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
it is really hard to do all that because I feel like, okay, I'm gonna answer this call while I'm emailing this. Like you can't physically do that. So you can't split the attention. And I'm not good at it. I can tell you that. It's something I constantly work on.
Right.
That I have to have these blocks of times of things and really commit to that.
Right.
And I notice when I don't make those blocks, then I'm like feeling stressed. I have all these things to do.
Frazzled.
What am I gonna do? And then I get home and now they need me too. And can't they just like take
Can't
care of
you just
themselves?
feed
Yeah.
yourself?
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And I'm very lucky in that I'm not worried about the home stuff in a way. My husband does the cooking and those kinds of things.
Yeah.
I literally can just be home and be.
Yes.
But that actually takes work for me, and it's something that I know I have to work on for myself. Something we've had those discussions as a married couple of things that we need to be like, hey, wait a minute, they were not hitting
Uh-huh.
these pieces. So yeah, it's constant, like we talked at the beginning, constant checking in, constant growth, constant, learning from all the other opportunities and that have happened. So yeah,
Yeah.
really, really challenging. Real quick, the Bruce, I love, he said that he puts his word on the small rock, um,
Uh-huh.
and by his monitor. That's really, really great idea. I like that too.
Yeah.
Really
He's
said
like,
that.
he's got his rock ready. He just got to figure out his final word. I know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and on that note too, you were asking me about, just making sure that you have your word throughout your week. And
Mhm.
I know Lee and I, one thing we talked about is I am very big into celebrating the wins. I know a lot of people don't do that. I know a lot of people just
Mhm.
want to celebrate the big, big stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm like, nope, it took a lot of steps to get there. You really got to give yourself some credit and pat yourself on the back for getting that one step done that
Yeah.
equates to that bigger thing that you're going to do or you will do.
Mhm.
And so I'm really being very intentional again about doing Saturday shout outs and really surrounding myself with people and then just really saying, you know what, Tisha, you did a great thing. You did a good job on this. Like we need
Mhm.
to get back to just celebrating ourselves and and
Mhm.
that's a form of strength. That's a form of
Yeah.
moving forward. That's a form
Yeah.
of progress,
Right.
and being proud of your accomplishments,
Yeah.
whatever they look like,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, it's hard to see that sometimes you're in the middle of what you might think is a low point or a difficult time. But I remember many years ago in therapy, I'll admit it, we all have our therapies and moments and things that we need.
Yeah.
And she said, "Did you get up and take a shower and get ready for the day and go about your day?" I'm like, "Yeah, but I didn't get anything done." What do you mean? You got that done. You went out and you did that thing. So you didn't solve the world's problems that day. That's okay too. Like
Yeah.
we have to like set off reasonable goals for things and reflecting back on the things that we are doing really, really well. I think
Hmm.
it's a really great point to bring up for sure.
Yeah. Reasonable goals,
Yeah.
realistic.
Yeah,
Hmm.
and personalized. We're talking
Hmm.
about, looking at the other. I think it's right before we went live that what you might think is abundant for somebody else maybe is a certain amount in the bank account, or what you think is they're going on trips and doing all these things, and you don't really know the whole story,
Right.
nor is that always should that be your goal either. Like, you are abundant in where you are right now with what you have, and you can appreciate those pieces of it as well. I think that is great.
And I think you've hit on a really good point, Michelle, about, so many of us, women especially, we get into, we definitely find ourselves in the imposter syndrome, and we definitely find
Mhm.
ourselves in a comparison trap. And
Yeah.
I'm sure some of your massage therapists are like, why is she doing so much better than I am?
Mhm.
And you really can't say, well, it's because of this. You don't know the full
Mhm.
story. I know
Right.
people, for instance, on LinkedIn that are rocking and rolling, and you look at them and you're like, oh my gosh, everything you do is viral.
Uh-huh.
But then you got to look at, well, what toll has that taken on you? And are you
Mhm.
happy in all areas of your life? I think that's why I really, really liked how Lee put it about the infrastructure of,
Mhm.
if you're high performing and or high achieving in one area, does it mean that other areas of your life are lacking?
Yeah.
And or does it mean that everything is kind of even keel, and that's the balance that we're all craving? And
Yeah.
I said it on my live stream. I'm like, I can honestly tell you it's taken me years to get here, but I absolutely feel I'm high performing in every area of my life. My family life is good, my marriage is good, I get to travel, I can
Mhm.
unplug, like I have my chips and salsa dream
Yeah.
coming
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
My work is happening, like the clients are coming, like I can honestly tell you that I am the happiest I've ever been. I think I just had to wait till my
Mhm.
40s till to
Yeah.
get
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
But I can't say that about years past. I can say that I was
Mhm.
struggling, my marriage was in the dumps, like my kids and I were not doing well, like I just was
Mhm.
fighting, I wasn't healthy.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
what do you want? What do you want
Right.
for your life?
Yeah. Yeah. Do you think looking 10 years from down the road, you might look back at right now and say, I wasn't even healthy then. Now I'm like, woohoo, this is the life. 50s, here I am.
I do. I do.
Yeah.
It's funny. Like I was talking to an old high school boyfriend. He has a pest control business, and we were just talking about how we've aged and how I'm like, I blame my grays on the kids. Like we're
Uh-huh.
just laughing. But I was honestly telling him, I'm like, and he and I echoed the same response. I'm like, I don't feel old. I feel kind of
Mhm.
like I'm still back in high school. Like I'm peppy,
Mhm.
I'm happy, whatever. I definitely have a lot more life experience, but I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm very excited about the journey I'm on. It's why I'm happy
Mhm.
to share my age. I'm not like,
Yeah. Right,
"Nah."
right, right, right,
I'm
right.
happy to share that I've grown in wisdom and age and
Mhm.
experience, and I can
Yeah.
help teach the younger generation what that looks like and how to
Right.
live that abundant lifestyle and how to
Mhm.
be happier in life, and
Yeah.
just teach them with the tools that I've had to go through, the tools that I've gained through the years.
Yeah.
And so I said, bring on the 50s. Like, I'm not scared. I'm not
Yeah.
scared about it. In fact, I think
Yeah.
it'll be the happiest moments of my life because I will probably not be on social media.
Yeah. Finally get your wish.
I will be semi retired. I will not be
Uh-huh.
doing all this stuff. And I just get
Mhm.
to enjoy life with my husband, you know?
Yeah. It'd be nice. Do the kids think they're invited, or
No. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I think that they'll be along for the ride too. But
Yeah.
you know, a friend of mine asked me the other day about, marriage. We're talking marriage advice. And he said the
Mhm.
hardest part is, you're in this stage where you've got kids and you're together, and but what
Mhm.
happens when you're now empty nesters? Can you still carry a conversation with
Yeah.
that significant other? Can you still have a really great time with that person? Or
Mhm.
have you run out of things to say? Have you run
Mm.
out of fun moments together? And I'm
Yeah.
like, I can honestly say that's not going to happen. Like we really
Yeah.
do like being with each other, and
Yeah.
that to me is a great sign for marriage.
Yeah. How long have you? About 14 years or so? Is
Oh,
that
girl,
right?
18 years coming
18,
up.
18. I was like, I don't know why I feel like I have to know everything about you. And like, if I get
18
all your
years.
memories right, 18 years. Yeah, I'm at, what are we at? 12 right now.
Yeah.
And I think about it all the time, like I'm still laughing hysterically
Yeah.
about things. And we're like things that, of course, everyone's else looking at us. Why is that funny? Doesn't matter. This doesn't involve you.
It doesn't
And to
matter.
make, of all the ups and downs of things, like to still be able to be in that laughter part and enjoying people is
Yeah.
really, really, to enjoy the people you're around. That's amazing.
Oh,
Maybe
yeah.
that
And
needs to be a word for people, like I don't know, entourage. Like get the right entourage around you, get the right people surrounding you, that are going to support you. And you had mentioned about our students and maybe thinking someone's doing better job than others. And I literally had a conversation with a student a couple weeks ago where like, I don't understand why that student, everyone thinks they're such the hot shit, and there's like, I like people also their appearance of things is also very different. Some people are more extroverted about their stuff, and that doesn't mean that you work you're doing on that table with your client at your time in your little cocoon isn't amazing. Like
yeah.
that's you don't that's the outcome. It doesn't have to look the same to everybody else talking about it. People getting off your table look really happy and are asking to get rebooked with you. So just because they're not like, oh, this person, that person, like it's not always the way that we don't need all the fanfare all the time to
Hmm.
be okay with where we are and how we do things ourselves. Like
Hmm.
all our students have different pressure abilities of different techniques they like to use, different energy behind
Hmm.
them.
Hmm.
There's so much that they all bring to the table. So being in confidence, there's another word, confident. Take that word, somebody. You can use that one.
Yes,
I'll give it to you.
confidence is a great
Yeah.
word.
Yeah.
And like just with what Lee said, he said competence builds confidence, you know?
I love that.
Yeah, and I'll say this, like so many coaches and mentors like want to in a way create the life that they want for themselves for you. I've gotten into
Mm-hmm.
discussions with other entrepreneurs about this.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so true. Like I can't tell you how many coaches I've gone to who have said your dreams are way too small. You should be here. And what they were talking about was a financial goal.
Mm-hmm.
And Michelle, every time they say that to me, I said, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Okay, so if I get to that financial goal, what did I give up to get there?
Mm-hmm.
Did I give up my family? And I really have to check myself against what they're saying because I'm like, we don't have the same life. Are you running
Yeah.
your kids to soccer at 3 o'clock and 4 o'clock? Do you have kids? Do you have a
Mm-hmm.
husband?
Yeah.
Like you don't have the life that I have. I have this
Mm-hmm.
life. This is a life I've been given. I've got to work with it.
Yeah.
So for you to say, well, it's so easy to make $10 million, Tish. It's so
Yeah.
easy to scale and have all these employees. And I said, but did I ask for that? I didn't ask for that.
Yeah.
I
No.
didn't ask for that. I don't want that.
Yeah.
So I think it really comes down to figure out what makes you happy. There may be
Mm-hmm.
some of your massage students for their big ambition, Michelle, is that they actually want to have they're running a business and they've got multiple therapists and they have to figure out scheduling. Or there might be the person that's like, I'm totally good just being solo. I'm totally
Mm-hmm.
good having my steady clients come to me and I'm happy and I can
Yeah.
take off when I want to take off.
Yeah.
And I was like, there's no wrong or right answer. It's what you
Mm-hmm.
want your life to look like.
Yeah. Yeah. And to make it quality about yourself, and it's not about the quantity. I always go back to you and all the steps along the way of what you've done is like throw out the business cards. We're not doing the business cards. It's not about how many business cards that you hand out today, because okay, if nobody ever calls you from that later, then what was like, congratulations, you handed out 50 business cards. Like it doesn't, you got to go buy more.
Yeah.
So how do we want to make those connections meaningful for us, and not so much about the number, the outcome, or anything like that. That's what makes us rich
Yeah.
in all those relationships with each other.
Right. Well, and speaking of, I put this up on LinkedIn. So if any of your students or people watching are not connected with me, I'm just at Tisha Marie Pelletier, just like you see it. And I posted something from a live stream I did last week. And there's this theme that's been going on through some of these live streams about
Mm-hmm.
lifetime value of a client. The value, like you're trying to work with clients for life
Mm-hmm.
because then you don't have to keep searching for more and more clients and bringing in more quantity. You
Mhm.
want to have rich relationships with the people that
Yeah.
you serve, that they really are your walking, talking ambassador. They really are the people that are like, oh my gosh, Michelle's amazing. Go to Michelle, go to Michelle, go to Michelle.
Mhm. Mhm.
And that's the thing. Like
Yeah.
if your students can focus on building that quality relationship and checking in with those people and making sure they feel like they're the only person in the world,
Mhm.
imagine what could that do for their business.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh, Go crazy. Yeah.
Go crazy.
Yeah. Love it. I love it. So we got lots of great words that people can focus on this year. If they need more, they can. I'm going to put your. I want to make sure that they can get to your website, which I know
Yeah.
has all the links to how you can find you on all the social
Mhm.
media platforms, which you're now taking control over and love every minute of it.
Yes. Loving it.
And I know you have the posts in different places about the word of the year. So if anyone's watching the recording later, make sure you find Tisha at one of her places on social media to share that word, share it here in our Facebook comments or the YouTube comments or on the LinkedIn page that we have with Tisha's page, because we want to hear. I want more inspiration too. I'm like, okay, my word is strength this year, but it doesn't stop me from also being a little abundant and a little
Yeah, of
luxurious and
course.
get
Of
all the little
course.
things in there.
Yeah.
And I want to root everyone on too, and anyone that knows me personally, I want to hold you accountable, and I hope they hold me accountable too, to make
Hmm.
sure that I'm still trying to be strong in all avenues of my life.
Yeah.
Um, so I didn't let you know this because I kind of wanted to spring it on you, but I always
Oh,
ask them like
okay.
couple hot seat questions at the
Hot
end.
seat. Bring it. Bring it.
So I'm gonna bring those up, but I wanted to see, is there any other little words of advice you want to give about the word of the year for people watching?
I would just say that, just choose one that really speaks to you. Like, I don't want you to overthink it. I know that it's, but I think that you're going to be guided. And just like you, Michelle, like you kept seeing signs of,
Uh-huh.
I have this word. Oh my gosh, here's a sign. There's a sign. Here's another sign that I'm on the right path.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
I
I don't
love
want
that.
people to stress themselves out and I don't
Yeah.
know my word. I
Yeah.
just don't have it. Like, just don't have to do that. Like, let it come to you.
Yeah.
Like, let it
Yeah.
come to you naturally. Maybe it's something you've been feeling. Maybe it's a word that
Mhm.
you've been thinking about, and just go with it. Like, it
Yeah.
doesn't have to be a stressful exercise.
Yeah, no. And there's not a right or wrong. It's not like you picked one. I'm like, oh darn it, that wasn't my word. What am I
Dang,
doing now?
no,
Or
it wasn't the
the
right.
year is over. What do I do? No, no. We're always making movement. Movement. Here we got
Well,
you.
lucky for you,
Mhm.
2023 is around the corner.
Mhm. Yes,
50 more
exactly.
weeks.
And we'll find some good
So,
ryming words for 3 too. So we
yes,
have a whole 11
yes,
months to find some good rhymes or
absolutely.
alliterations. Either one, I'm good with both.
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to this gentleman too. He's in Arizona, Dwellin Williams. He comes to my social connect, and pardon me, my doggies are all barking.
Of
They're
course.
all barking because
Yeah.
that's how we
Yeah,
roll in this
you never
house.
know what happens in our lives.
But yeah, go for it, Michelle. What's your hot seat question?
Okay, all right. So, which talent or superpower would you most like to have?
I've always said I would love to fly. Like, I think that would just be fun, and
Mhm.
especially since I'm big into travel. Like, I already have a few
Mhm.
trips planned
Yeah,
this year. Like, we're going to
love it.
Vegas, we're going to Hawaii and Costa Rica.
Nice.
So that would be one. And then the other superpower, I would love to just be invisible. Like, I'd love to be like a fly on a wall,
Yeah,
listening in on a
yeah.
conversation.
I
Just some fun things.
Yeah, I love that. So I always follow up the question is because I get flying a lot. So is it the act of being overhead watching things, or is it the ability to get to some other place, or both?
I think kind of both. I think I'd
Mhm.
like both superpowers where I can just like, I dream of Genie it and I'm,
Yeah, yeah,
sitting on a beach somewhere. But I
yeah,
kind of like that idea too of being able to just like fly overhead and watch what's
yeah,
going on and
yeah.
like peek in.
See,
Yeah.
I don't do roller coasters and stuff like that. So mine is the immediate travel. Like that's I just want to. So I say mine's teleporting because I'm like
Teleporting.
I just want to be there. Like no,
Yeah.
I don't want to take the time.
You're
That's
so
it.
funny. You're like, is that going to take me an hour to get there?
I just want to be there with my chips and salsa on the beach. So
there you go. There you
I want to be
go.
one of your first customers.
Yes, please do.
So if you weren't doing what you're doing, inspiring and mentoring and blogging and doing all these great things, or if you weren't chips and salsaing, is there any other occupation that you think you would have liked to have pursued, or what you think you might have done in another life?
You know, I don't really think I would. I don't think I have this idea of, oh, I wish I would have done this in my life.
Mm-hmm.
But I can
Mm-hmm.
tell you, like I did something pretty amazing this week. I don't know if you saw, Michelle, but I was able to raise $500 for an orphanage in Uganda.
Oh, nice.
And just through the power of social media and through the
Mhm.
power of just putting it out there. And I didn't even have any expectation. I was like, if I raise 20 bucks, I'm happy. But I raised
Yeah,
$500 in one
that's
night.
awesome.
And the joy that I felt of this orphanage and the orphans, I'll have to post it, but they're holding a big sign that says, like, thank you, Sister Tisha, for the supplies and for,
Oh,
God bless your family. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, like, I honestly feel like I would be doing more of that, like,
nice.
let me just be your champion. Let me help you.
Yeah,
Let me use the
yeah,
tools I have. Let me do
yeah,
what I need to do. Like,
yeah.
I do feel that I've been given a lot of God given gifts and talents, and I'm able to
Mhm.
use those for the greater good.
Yeah, using it for
And
good instead of evil. Yeah,
yes, for good instead of evil. I've
I
met some
love
evil
it.
people. Yeah, so no, no evil here.
Okay. No. Well, I think I know the answer to this one, but still gonna ask. Who knows? Maybe there's another place. If
Okay.
money and circumstances were not issues, where would you most like to live in the world?
Oh, well, of course, Costa Rica is one of those
Mhm.
places. But Sean and I, we and our kids, we love just areas in Mexico. Like we went to Cancun after I got my real estate license last year, and we've been a couple times. And just, I don't know that I would stay in the U.S.
Mhm.
I think I would really head out. Like I think I'd be
Yeah.
like, I want to just travel and be around. But Sean and I have a very big goal of getting an RV when he's
Nice.
retired and just
Uh-huh.
kind of living that life. And
Oh, I love it.
I know Bruce said it in one of his posts, like resize the life you want. And I'm like, I'm about
Mm,
resize. I'm
I
about
love that.
downsize. I'm
Yeah.
about don't need all this fancy. Like I really just I want to have like my suitcase and be like, let's
Yeah.
go. Where are we going? Where are we
Yeah.
off to?
Yeah, that sounds so freeing. I don't know. And it's terrifying for, I think, a lot of people, myself included, I will say, like,
Yeah,
where you're just like, I don't know if I could do that. Like,
I
but at the
know.
same time, wow, it'd be exciting to be able to do that. The thought of being able to is like, I
Yes,
love
I
it.
think that's it. I've lived in Arizona all my life, and Sean is a
Mhm.
native, and so it's like let's do stuff, let's
Yeah,
travel. And I
love
feel
that.
that he and I are so blessed that he's young enough to do that. Like we're
Hmm.
not in our 80s. We're not like,
Yeah,
oh, let's bring out our canes and let's go
yeah,
try and do
yeah,
this world
yeah.
travel. Like I feel like we've been given that gift of you're young, go do these things that you really want
Hmm.
to do. I'm not
Yeah.
married to the house that we live in. Like to me, it's
Hmm.
a house, and
Yeah.
as long as we're together, then that's what matters. And so
Good.
I'm excited. There was a place in Rosarito, Mexico. So I like this because it's really not too far from San Diego. It's the same
Hmm.
weather as San Diego,
Nice.
and it's like 20 minutes from the border. So we're still close enough that we're
Yeah.
like, hey, we can just venture into California.
Hmm.
And so we thought about getting like a little 2 bedroom, 2 bath condo right on the beach, and the pricing there is like super crazy cheap. It's like
Yeah.
$180,000 for a condo, and you're like,
Wow.
why am I not there now?
Yeah. That's
So
awesome.
I think that that's going to be more of a realistic goal. Costa Rica is a
Yes.
beautiful dream, but I think it's a little
Mhm.
too far from
Yeah,
kids
yeah.
and
There's a lot more
family.
logistics. I remember when my sister lived there, she's like, I just need to come back. And like, yeah, it's a little more of a little longer of a plane ride. Not as much of an
Yeah.
easy hop around with the car. So yeah,
Yep.
that's it.
Yep.
But nice. But
Can't drive down there.
yeah, yeah. My grandparents did it one time from New York. And yeah, and this is pre like cell phone days. So we were just like, are they
Oh my
there? What's
goodness.
happening?
Oh
Yeah, but
wow.
they made it and they had their adventures. And yeah, it's fun.
Good.
I don't know
Good.
why we all let them do that. I'll have to ask my parents why that happened.
Oh,
But uh,
see, now I know
but
why the dogs are going crazy, Michelle. Their chewy box just came, like
oh,
their
nice.
chewy
So they're like, they
treats.
want us the good. They give us the goods, lady. We got our
I know.
treats.
They're like, we see you, Amazon, or we
Yeah.
see you, Chewy driver.
Smart puppies. I love it. Okay, I got two more questions for you, and then the puppies get their treats. So, okay, so what? This one's always a hard one, but I'm always curious. What is your most treasured possession?
Most treasured possession. Um, oh gosh, that is a hard one.
Hmm.
just go with, I mean, I'm sure you get this a lot, but I love photographs. I
Mhm.
love just being able to see them. I'm not a big Facebook fan, but I will
Mhm.
say that Facebook has done something incredible with showing me memories of like
Mhm.
bringing back in my timeline
Yeah.
of,
Yeah.
yes, like
Yeah.
memories are what I want to take with
Right.
me, you know?
Yeah.
So you can't get those back. You
Yeah.
cannot get those back. You know,
Mhm.
it's why I know Sean and the kids are like, another picture, another picture. And I'm like, yes, we're taking a picture.
Yes.
Yes, we're doing this because I
Yeah.
want to have it, not
Yeah.
to post it. I don't post
Yeah.
everything,
Yeah.
but just to have it as a
Mhm.
memory. And
Yeah.
I feel like that is going to carry over to my kiddos and their kiddos and their
Mhm.
kiddos. And
Yeah.
honestly, Michelle, like I think you've read some of my books. Like I wrote those for the kids. I wrote those
Yeah.
to leave a legacy for my kids.
Yeah.
And I love that Ellie came into my office one day and I was doing rule of life lessons, and there's like 52 of them on YouTube that I recorded along with a blog.
Mhm.
And I just remember her coming in my office and she's like, "Will my kids be able to watch this and read this?" And I just
Mm.
melted, melted. I
Oh.
was like, that's the purpose. Like,
Yeah.
that's why I'm doing this. It's not for me, it's for
Mhm.
you and your kids and their kids and their kids. And,
Yeah.
you know, it's a way of leaving the legacy.
Yeah. I'll have to
Yeah.
remind my son about this one because the other day I posted my husband and my son bringing in the garbage cans for me here at school, and they just came to help with graduation, and I was just like so touched they did it, and I had to post it because I was so proud of them because my love language is acts of service
Yeah.
100%, and they will jump in and do anything. And as he's rolling, he goes, "Do you have to document everything?" Like, yes, and you will appreciate it later when you get to see this, that I was so happy that you helped me out. So yes, I do. And you're a
Oh,
little
I
Weisenheimer
know.
and get out of here. So
Ellie said
I
the
love them.
same thing. I captured some video of her on the soccer fields, and she just was like, "Do you have to?" And I'm like, "Yes, of course I have to." And then I've got to put it to music and throw it on
Yeah.
TikTok.
I know. Oh, my husband just piped in. He's like, "You record everything." Yes, and you do
Hey,
it later,
Paul.
don't you?
Good to see you, Paul. So funny.
Oh, he's so funny. He's hit or miss when he watches, and sometimes I talk about him, and then those are the days that he's like, "Hey, what did you say about
You
me?"
see it. That's some
Yeah,
perfect
I know.
timing.
Yeah, it's so funny. Okay. So last but not least, what would you tell your 18-year-old self?
Don't worry.
I love
Oh,
that.
I could cry about this.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. You know, I think when I was 18, I thought that I had my life so figured out. And I've told you this too, Michelle. Like I knew I wanted to be a broadcast journalist. I
Yeah.
went to school for it. I went to ASU for it. I like did it all through high school. I reported
Mhm.
everything they asked me to. And I think that, you know, when I got to my college years, I just was like, I don't want to do this anymore. My senior
Mhm.
year, I mean, here I am. I made it through the whole curriculum. I get
Yeah.
to my senior year and I'm like, I don't want to. Like, I don't want to have that life.
Yeah.
And I would tell anyone at that stage that, like, my son Caleb, like, he is wicked smart.
Mhm.
I know my husband gets on him about grades. Like, the kid's getting a 4.3 GPA. So go, Caleb. Awesome.
Yeah. Awesome.
And I just keep reminding him. I was like, yep, you're going to take that test and it's not going to matter. It's not going to
Mhm.
matter. Like,
Mhm.
it's not. So I'm
Yeah.
not as crazy stressed about it. Like,
Yeah.
you're going to find your way in life and sometimes it's going to change and it's absolutely okay. Like, I
Mhm.
thought for sure I had everything down.
Yeah.
And I realized very quickly that I was like, you know what? I'm I'm allowed. I'm
Yeah.
allowed to change. I'm allowed to grow. I'm allowed to make up my mind and go in a totally different direction. And that, I mean, they say this all the time. You're never too old to do anything if you believe you can do it.
Yeah. Even
You
with your
know,
cane and walker, like
even with my cane. It's so
so
funny.
true. So true. Well, you said that you're so young, you could travel. I'm like, you will still figure it out, and you're like jazzy. Like you will figure it out. I know it.
Oh, my dogs just opened the door. I was like, I want to see them. Oh,
Oh,
they're under my
puppies, we're
desk.
getting your treats. I promise. We're gonna let your mama back. So
They're like, did you hear the Chewy guy?
that's right. Oh, so smart. Oh, I love it. I love dogs. You know, I love my animals, but
Mm.
oh my gosh. I have tears now laughing. Okay. It's always
Oh
happening.
yeah, they're here. You can't see them on camera, but they are here. All
Oh,
three of
I love
them.
it. I love it. Oh my gosh, Tisha, thank you so, so much. You remind me again why I loved every moment I've ever got to spend with you and all of our mommy adventures and gals and everything else. Oh, so fun. I really appreciate you taking out the time to talk to our students and everyone else watching. I want to put one more time, if anyone wants to connect with Tisha with any of her fun adventures and find out when the chips and salsa is going to happen, but also getting some mentor advice, following her on all of her social media. She is so positive and so many great things to follow along to see her every day with it. Well, not every day. You don't post everything. I apparently do. So just to definitely connect. And I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for taking the time out today. Really, really appreciate it.
Thank
And
you so much. This was so
absolutely.
much fun. And thank you to everybody that chimed in. Like, you guys just make me smile and laugh.
Yes.
And Michelle, it's such an honor. I love
Mhm.
that we haven't lost touch,
Yeah.
like through all the years. Like, it's
Yeah.
been so long. Like, I
Mhm.
stopped Mommy Club in 2015, and then I started Gals for a couple years, and I let that
Mhm.
go in like 2017-ish. And but we're still in touch.
Yeah.
This is what we're talking about. We're talking about
Yeah.
lifetime relationships with people and how they keep giving back to you.
Yeah. I love it.
So thank you. I'm about to go grab my
Yeah.
tissues because they're like, oh
Yeah.
my gosh, like the waterworks are coming.
I know, I know. Thank you so. I'm very, very honored, and thanks to everybody watching. Thanks for all your guests from your LinkedIn world.
Yeah,
Thanks for
of
allowing us to
course, of
do that
course.
today. That was great. I love the extra engagement today. So it's really, really fun.
Good.
All right. Well, we will have a great weekend. Thanks everyone out there, and we're gonna say see you next week.